Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Hey, we're the Wild Brothers. I'm Morgan. This is Hudson, Kian, and Asher. Just so you know, Wild is actually our last name. And we did happen to grow up in Southeast Asia, in virgin jungles, tropical islands, and so we did have a pretty wild upbringing. And we were over there as Christian missionaries, taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to places where it had never been heard. And so we had a pretty awesome childhood.
Yeah, and over the years we've been documenting our lives via video, making epic adventures to share people here in the States to inspire them that following Christ is the ultimate adventure.
But now we're in a new season of life, living here in America, and we are so excited to partner with Trail Life USA to bring you guys trail hacks. These are skills, tips, know-how, everything you need to become a better trailman. And the first one is going to be premiering soon, so we are just really excited.
And we'll see you guys on the trail. Catch you later. Hi, we're the Wild Brothers, and we're partnering with Trail Life USA to bring you trail hacks, essential tips you need to know in order to be a better trailman. In this episode, we're going to teach you the 10 essential items you need the next time you hit the trail. There's a fine line between being underprepared and overprepared. If you don't bring the right gear along on your adventure, you'll definitely regret it. But on the other hand, if you bring too much gear, your pack's going to drag you down. The top 10 essentials are 10 key items you need for any hiking trip, and they will cover all your bases without slowing you down in the process. First things first, on any adventure you need to know where you are and where you're going, or else you might end up lost. The first essential is navigation. Always pack a compass and a map of your local area. Know where you are, where you're going, and be sure to let others know as well. Essential number 2, sun protection. We live in Florida, the Sunshine State, but no matter where you are, you need to have a good plan for sun protection. Make sure to bring sunscreen, 30 SPF or higher, and a good pair of sunglasses. You could also bring an SPF shirt or cap. Essential number 3, insulation. It's not always sunny out. The cold can be just as dangerous as the heat. Make sure to bring extra clothing and insulation in case of a sudden turn in weather. Make wise decisions and take proper insulated clothing depending on your environment. Essential number 4, first aid. The first necessity to any adventure is to stay uninjured. But you can never tell when an accident might happen. Even the best of us make mistakes. The next essential is having a first aid kit and knowing how to use it properly. Essential number 5, illumination. Nothing's worse than getting caught in the dark without a light. Make sure to keep a reliable flashlight well charged in your backpack at all times, preferably a headlamp and one that's weatherproof. This is especially important during the winter months when you have less hours of daylight. Essential number 6, repair kit and tools. A sturdy knife is one of the most important of the 10 essentials. It is crucial for gear repair, food preparation, first aid, and the list goes on. Essential number 7, fire. You never know what kind of conditions you will face on your adventure. Whether it's dry or maybe wet and rainy, at some point you're going to need to get a fire started. Now, a fire can be started by using flint, a lighter, or even friction. One of the most reliable fire starters is a pack of waterproof matches. Make sure you keep these handy in your backpack. Essential number 8, hydration. Without water on the trail, you are toast. Always make sure to bring one full water bottle per person and an extra collapsible water reservoir to refill your water supply if you come across a clean water source. Essential number 9, nutrition. Adventures take up a lot of calories. On the trail, it is important to bring along something to refuel your body with. Pack snacks, preferably healthy snacks, and be prepared to bring some extra. Have enough food for a whole day because you never know if you will need it or if you need to share with others. Essential number 10, emergency shelter. The weather is unpredictable and we've all had experience with this. Rain, snow, or even hail has a way of regularly interrupting our plans on the trail. the last of the 10 essentials is some form of emergency shelter. This could be a tarp, bivy sack, or even a space blanket. Anything you can use to throw up a quick shelter and get out of the elements. There you have it, the top 10 essential items you need on the trail. Now you can have peace of mind knowing that whatever comes your way on your adventure, you're ready for it. Now it's time to hit the trail. Thanks for watching Trail Hacks. If you want to learn more about trail life and how to become a trailman in your local troop, go to traillifeusa.com. And if you want to learn more about the Wild Brothers, go to wildbrothersproductions.com to see more of our adventures.
Hey guys, Wild Brothers here. Today we're stuck on this beach. We don't know how long we're gonna be here. It could be a few hours, it could be overnight. And so in the meantime, we're gonna set up camp, which means doing 3 things. We're gonna set up a shelter, find some food, and get a nice, good fire going. You're watching Trail Hacks. All right guys, well we're here. We need to make the most of the daylight hours, and so let's get started setting up camp. It's time to delegate some responsibilities. Hudson, if you'd be in charge of getting food, that'd be great. Kian, if you could be in charge of getting the fire going, that'd be sweet. And Asher, if you could stick with me, we'll be responsible for setting up our shelter. All right, is that all clear?
Yep, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, so we need to find some shelter, and Morgan, I'm thinking that we should actually maybe stay clear of the beach just because I think the tide might rise and also the ground's uneven.
Yep.
Plus, it's so windy out, it might be kind of hard when you get the fire going. So I'm thinking we can maybe go inland and see if we can get through the first layer of trees, and that can be where we make shelter. Hey Morgan, this actually isn't a half bad spot right here.
I like it a lot. It's protected from the wind, still a view of the ocean.
Yeah, and it's nice and cleared out.
Now, today we're gonna be making an A-frame shelter. A-frame shelters are pretty easy and they're great on the trail. Typically it consists of 2 Y poles, 1 pole across the top, and then a simple tarp that you can drape over it and then attach from the 4 corners. Now, A-frame shelters we used to make all the time growing up in the jungle. We'd be out on the trail hiking in the virgin jungles of Southeast Asia, and all we had to do was stop, take about 20 minutes, and we could quickly whip up one of these. Now, for today, looking at this area right here, it's actually gonna be a lot easier to take advantage of these 2 trees. We're gonna use these trees, and instead of getting a pole across, we're just going to tighten a rope from the top, drape the tarp over, secure it from the 4 corners as we normally would, and that'll be our shelter. That's about it. Now, when you're securing the line to a tree like this, it's important to make the top rope a little bit higher than your head. The shorter it is, the less space you're gonna have inside. Now, the next step is really just to secure the 4 corners. The wind's actually picking up, and I think a storm's brewing, so we're about to get some rain, so it's important that we finish this up fast.
Shelters are super important when you're on an adventure just because they provide that area of just safety and comfort. And that's really, honestly, what God is for in the life of a Christian. God describes himself as our sanctuary, our refuge. And that's super encouraging because we know that in this life there's going to be all kinds of trials, elements that come our way. We know that for the Christian, no matter what's going on in our life, we know that God's always there looking out for us, protecting us, for those who love him. And so, you know, this is a great shelter for the night, and hopefully it'll take care of us, but God's going to take care of us forever. And so that's a real comfort.
Time to chill and take a break. A well-earned break. Good job, Asher.
Thanks for watching Trail Hats. If you enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe.
And if you're interested in learning more about partnering with Trail Life USA or becoming a member yourself, a member of a troop, visit traillifeusa.com to learn more there. And if you're interested in the Wild Brothers and seeing some more of our adventures, visit wildbrothersproductions.com.
Catch you guys later.
Hi everyone, this is Hudson Wild. And if you remember from last episode, we're stuck on this beach and it's my job to find food for everyone. I'm gonna go try to catch some fish using the hand line technique. You're watching Trail Hacks. Today I'm going to be using a hand line technique for fishing. And what's great about this method is that you don't need a pole. Oftentimes poles are large, they're inconvenient to carry around, especially when you're doing any kind of hiking. And in our case for today, there just wasn't a lot of room in the canoe, so I brought along my hand line. This is a technique of fishing I learned in Indonesia growing up as a missionary kid. A lot of the locals over there in Indonesia, they don't have fishing poles, they don't make them, but they do use hand lines. Whoa, whoa. All right, we got a big school of bait fish here. This is perfect. This is just what I need for a bait. This giant black blob is actually a huge school of fish. So I'm gonna try to corral them closer to the beach. And if I get close enough, I can kick a couple up on shore, and these will be my bait. This log gives a great vantage point, but I'm not seeing any kind of large fish in the area. It's too shallow here. I'm gonna keep walking down the shore. This location looks like it has a little bit more potential. I'm gonna show you how to make a standard fishing rig for a hand line. And what's really nice and easy about this rig, super simple, straightforward, and it has the weight on the bottom of the rig. That means it has that weight that you can have to throw out, and it'll send the line out. Step number one, you tie the weight on here at the very bottom with a simple knot like this. And then about, I'm gonna say a foot, sometimes even a little bit more above the weight, you're gonna make this little loop here and a nice standard knot tied around like this. Whip this through, pull it through, tighten it. There you go. And then you're gonna put this loop through the eye of the hook. Just string it through, just like that. You're gonna take this and you're gonna put it around the hook. And then you just pull the hook and it'll tighten on itself. One thing I love about fishing is that Jesus' disciples, many of them were actually fishermen. And when he called his disciples, some of them were even in their fishing boats, and he said, come follow me. And they threw down their nets and they went and followed him. And later on in Jesus' ministry, he actually used fishing as an example. And he told his disciples, hey, I'm gonna make you guys fishers of men. Come follow me, I'm gonna make you guys fishers of men. And what he meant is that they were gonna be his tools, his ambassadors to go out and to make disciples, to share the good news of how to be saved with others. We in the same way are also called to be Christ's disciples and his ambassadors and fishers of men, which means our job, one of our purposes in life, is to share the good news. We should really steward that and use it to the best of our abilities. We need to be sharing it with others. So I would encourage all of you guys, you young trailmen, man, don't be ashamed of the gospel. Don't be scared of it, but be bold followers of Christ, willing to witness to others so that people who have never heard might come to a saving faith in Jesus Christ. Oh, fish on. I got one, guys. Woo! We got dinner tonight. This right here is a little pinfish. See, the free line technique is very effective. Very minimalistic. You don't need a pole or a bunch of gear. Just a simple line, weight, and hook. Works almost every time. Thanks for watching Trail Hacks. If you guys enjoyed the video, like or subscribe below. And if you're not already connected to Trail Life and would like to become a member or join a troop, go to traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in seeing more adventures of the Wild Brothers, go to our website, wildbrothersproductions.com. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, I'm Hudson Wild, and we're still here on this beach. Morgan and Asher built a successful emergency shelter. Kean put together a beautiful fire, and I've been fishing all day, catching us some dinner. Success. I'm about to fillet these and gut them, prepare them for dinner. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. The sun's starting to set. It's like the perfect time to fillet these fish. You want to prepare your food before the sun goes down so you still have enough time to have light and see what you're doing. This piece of bark is going to act as my little fillet table. This is a sand trout, and I'm going to show you how to fillet him correctly. It's important to have the right tools, and a sharp knife is essential. A dull knife can actually be very dangerous. You're struggling, you're going to slip, and it can cut you. It's very important to have a sharp knife. But with that comes great responsibility. You need to know how to use it properly. So as I'm filleting, I'm going to be cutting into the fish and cutting away from myself. You don't want to be cutting and doing any of this action where the knife gets slipped and cut your hand. So to fillet a fish, we're going to make this first incision, cut from right behind the pectoral fin, a nice smooth cut, all the way up towards its forehead. And that way we maximize that meat up there. Then we're going to tilt the knife at a 45-degree angle. So you're gonna have your knife blade pressed firmly against the spine. And you're just gonna feel that. It's gonna give a little bit of resistance. So just follow right above that. nice and smooth, cut all the way back to the end of the tail. Last little bit, boom, then you're done. Now, start at the base of the tail, press the blade firmly against the skin and the meat, and you'll just follow that all the way down, all the way down. Just cutting the meat right off the skin. You know, trout skin is often very soft, especially this guy because he's so small, the knife went straight through. But that's okay. I'm gonna leave the skin on and I'll just add a little extra layer of protection for the meat from keeping it getting dirty. And what we'll do is we'll just pull the meat right off the skin once it's cooked. No problem. So to gut a fish, it's pretty simple. Right here at the bottom of the fish, insert the knife and then slowly, slowly cut forward. Again, having total control over the knife blade. You do not want it to slip. Hold the fish tightly, hold the knife tightly, cut up, 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 all the way through kind of this pectoral bone. Okay, now you're going to insert the knife and kind of cut around the top of the mouth here. And you're gonna free up these gills because you're gonna take the gills and the intestines, all the organs, rip them right out. There you go. Now you're done. And do that for all of them. The fire appears to be dead, but actually there's a lot of embers right underneath this firewood. All I have to do is give it a slight blow, it'll flame up. So I have with me a little young, fresh sapling. That means it's not gonna burn super quickly when I put this on the fire because it's still wet, nice and young. I'm gonna insert it into the pinfish's mouth. There we go. I have a nice little spit here I can roast my fish over. For the fillets though, it's a little bit different. So I'm using this nice thick piece of wood. It's really nice and smooth, it's nice and clean. I'm just going to put the fillets gently on them like this. And this will enable me to actually get them down on the fire and cook them a lot closer. Flaying and gutting a fish is not always super pretty, and it does make a mess. And you know, these fish didn't come without a price. They actually had to die in order to feed us tonight. And so, you know, thinking about that, death isn't a part of God's perfect plan. And yet now that there's sin in the world and death is a consequence, we don't want to take that lightly. And so, although this is a provision from God, it'll feed us tonight, all these fish. It is sad that the fish had to die, and so we wanna respect that, and not take it for granted, and we don't want to waste. And so tonight we're gonna be eating every little bit of meat from these guys, and we're gonna be thankful that the Lord provided this food. But you know, it didn't come freely. All right, here we have our little buffet of fish. We have our 2 fillets and then our whole roasted fish. Oh man, these guys look beautiful. So good. Beautiful, soft, white trout. Man, this is hard to beat. Just comes right off the skin, right off the bones. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. If you like the video, like or subscribe below. And if you want to be connected to a Trail Life troop, just research in your area, find a local troop, and sign up on traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in watching more Wild Brother adventures, go to our website, wildbrothersproduction.com, to see more. Thanks so much, guys.
Hey guys, I'm Asher Wild. Today, Morgan and I are gonna head out on a little paddling adventure. It's a beautiful morning, and while we're out paddling, we're gonna show you guys some of the basic skills you guys will need to know how to properly paddle your canoe, including using the J-stroke. You guys are watching Trail Hacks.
Before you head out on the water, it's important to have a float plan. Now, a float plan is basically just letting somebody know where you're going and how long you plan to be out in the water. Today, Asher and I, we're just going out here close in the bayou. It's not gonna be a very long trip, but still it's important to make a float plan. You never know what might happen on the water. It's good to let others know. You can't have fun without safety. All right, let's go.
It's always important when you head out in the water to make sure you have a good PFD that fits your body type and is nice and snug. So I got mine on right now. Probably the most common technique for paddling is just simple strokes. Basically what I'm doing right now. You paddle on one side and then Eventually, the canoe will start to turn in the opposite direction, and then you alternate and paddle on this side, right, to make up for it. This isn't the most efficient method though, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna zigzag a lot. You're gonna be going back and forth, and that takes up a lot of time and energy. A more effective way of paddling is what's called the J stroke. And it's basically the same thing as a normal stroke, except what you're gonna do is you're gonna plant your blade into the water nice and far, bring it all the way back until it's past your hip, and then you're gonna twist the blade so that it's parallel with your canoe. So you bring it up top, pull it all the way back past your hip, twist it a little bit so it's parallel, and that's gonna actually offset your stroke so that instead of going like this, you're gonna stay nice and straight so that you're more efficient. Sometimes you'll find though that the J stroke actually isn't enough. If you're facing a strong wind, kind of like right now, the wind's picking up, or a strong current, what's really helpful to know is what I like to call the rudder method. And the rudder method is basically taking the J stroke just a step further. So right now I'm paddling on the left side. So say there was a really strong wind coming this way, I could use the rudder technique to off balance that wind and keep me turning in the right direction. So what you saw right then was probably the background shifted a lot, right? I'm paddling one way and I use the rudder method and I turn this around, right? This is a really effective method for properly turning your canoe. We recommend that when you're going paddling, it's best to go in groups of at least 2. The buddy system is really helpful. Not only do you go faster, but it's just better for safety in general. And when you're paddling with multiple people, it's crucial you remember teamwork. The person in the back, it's his primary job to make sure that you're steering correctly, that you're going in the right direction. The person in the front, in my case Morgan, it's his job to provide a lot of the thrust needed for us to get from point A to point B. It's also his job to be the lookout. Paddling is great because it teaches you all about endurance and perseverance, and that's really what the life of a Christian is all about. In the world, there's going to be all kinds of currents and winds that are going to try to push us back, but for the true follower of Christ, we have to be pushing forward. We can't stop and give into those, because if we stop for 1 second, we're going to be pushed back. We have to persevere and follow after Christ with all of our hearts, souls, mind, and strength. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about Trail Life USA, about how to start your own troop or become a troop member, please head over to their website, traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in learning more about the Wild Brothers and about some of our adventures, feel free to head over to our website, wildbrothersproductions.com. Thanks so much, guys, and looking forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
Hey guys, what's up? Morgan Wild here. In today's video, I'm gonna help show you how to fix one of the most common problems on the trail, a sloppy backpack. You're watching Trail Hacks. Backpacking is a lot of fun, but the truth is, most of us, we don't know how to wear our backpacks. I know I didn't. My brothers and I, we actually grew up in Southeast Asia doing a lot of hiking. And it wasn't until just recently that we actually learned the correct way to align a backpack to your body. And let me tell you, it makes a world of difference. So in this video, I want to show you guys some simple hacks that you can incorporate the next time you get your backpack on before hitting the trail. Step 1, loosen all the straps on your backpack. Don't adjust an empty backpack. Make sure that you have 10 to 15 pounds in it before you start this process. All right guys, my backpack's adjusted my body and it's time to hit the trail. Thanks for watching Trail Hacks. Actually, not at all, right? This backpack looks terrible. Now this is overly exaggerated, but the truth is a lot of people do hit the trail like this. I mean, look at this. My backpack, it's so saggy, it's hanging so far down low. All the weight is being borne on these shoulders. I mean, it's like pulling me back. After a hike like this, I'd have to go see the chiropractor. This is kind of how I grew up wearing a backpack, and this is not what you want. Let's see how to do it right. First, we have our hip strap. This is your hip strap. Now, before you tighten it, you want to find your hip bone. Your hip bone's right here. The top of this strap and the cushioning needs to be at the top of your hip. Buckle it in, and you want to tighten this so it's nice and snug. To do so, you might want to lean forward a little bit. That's going to help me. Easy enough. On to the next strap, your shoulder straps. These are your shoulder straps. Pretty easy, right? Now, you can see right now, there's this gaping hole between my back and the padding of the backpack. In order to solve this problem, you take these two straps right here on your shoulder straps and you just cinch them down. You want to get it nice and tight, nice and snug. You see that gap disappearing? That's what you want. Be sure to find a reference point on your shoulder straps like these little plastic hoops in order to make sure that each strap is equally cinched down. I can tell this guy's a little high, so I gotta pull him down until he's about the same with this one. Also, depending on your torso length, you'll need to adjust your shoulder straps accordingly. On the back of the backpack here, you see that you can actually adjust this, where the shoulder straps attach. This can be moved down or up depending on how tall you are. A good rule of thumb is to have this located right between your shoulder blades. If you do that, you'll know it'll be adjusted well to your torso length. Next, we have our load lifters. Now, the load lifters to me are probably the most underappreciated strap on the backpack. I didn't know about it until just recently. There's 4 of them. There's 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. Tighten all 4 load lifters. That's gonna help distribute the weight of the backpack across your whole body. If you do it right, you should be able to see a Z formation from the top of the ear to the backpack, falling down the load lifter, and then back to the edge of the backpack. You see that Z shape? If that's there, then you know most likely you've done things right. Here's a trail hack revolving around your load lifters. So did you know that terrain actually plays a huge role in what you do with your load lifters? If you're descending down a hill or a mountain, you're gonna wanna loosen your load lifters. And if you're climbing up a mountain, on the other hand, you wanna tighten them. Those 2 small adjustments make a huge difference on the trail. Last but not least, we have our sternum strap right here, this little guy. Now, he needs to be right over your sternum, not too low, not too high, and you just wanna make it nice and comfortably tight. Really just like that. It's gonna prevent chafing from your shoulder straps, and you don't want it too tight or else it's gonna impede your breathing on the trail. Now guys, if you follow through, then you should be really comfortable. And the truth is, to do this on your own is hard. At Trail Life, we are all about community. We're about working together as teams. And so if you can get a buddy along to help you, especially initially as you're learning how to align your backpack to your body properly, that will save you a lot of stress and a lot of time. So work together with a friend or your dad or your mom, and you should be worlds ahead of most backpackers. If you guys have followed this video, then you've now loosened fully your backpack. You've adjusted the hip strap, your shoulder straps, the top and bottom load lifters, and finally your sternum strap. Man, my backpack feels great. I don't know about you. And if it does feel great, then that's a sign that you're ready to hit the trail. So let's go. Thanks for watching Trail Hacks. If you guys like this video and you're feeling pumped about properly aligning your backpack to your body and getting out on the trail yourself, then like and subscribe. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Trail Life USA, visit our website, traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in learning more about my brothers and I and seeing some more of our adventures, visit our website at wildbrothersproductions.com. Hey guys, Morgan Wild here. Today I'm at home and I'm getting ready for a backpacking trip. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to properly pack your backpack. You're watching Trail Hacks. On the trail, your backpack is your best friend. Ideally, you should have everything in your backpack to have a safe and fun adventure. Now, we encourage that you always bring along the top 10 essentials. And if you're wondering what are the top 10 essentials, look in the description below. There should be a link that'll take you to a video that goes over those in more detail. Here I have some of those. Now today, I'm not going on a long trip, and so that is represented by everything laid out on the table. I have some water, some food, a little bit of sleeping gear, an emergency shelter. There's a lot of things here on the table, and all these have to make it inside my backpack. But I'm gonna have to prioritize first what goes where. My sleeping hammock and my warm weather gear. This is stuff that I'm gonna be using at the very end of the day. And so I don't want this at the top because I'm gonna have to be shuffling, getting through it in order to get to things on the bottom like my snacks. My snacks, that's gonna be one of the first things I use during my hike. And so I want this near the top. I also want my water more accessible. I also want my matches more accessible and sunscreen. Those would not be smart items to put in the bottom. So prioritizing what goes where is important. The higher priority, the higher up in the backpack it needs to go. Keeping priority in mind, what goes where, it's now time to pack our backpack. And I recommend that you trailmen use what I call the sandwich principle. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, think about it. What does a sandwich look like? You have a bottom piece of bread that's pretty light, then the middle is comprised by heavier, denser fillings, and then you have a topper, another piece of bread that finishes off your sandwich. Well, when you think of your backpack, you should think of it like a sandwich. You want to have lighter objects on the bottom. You want the middle to be comprised of heavier, denser objects, like you're filling in a sandwich, and then you want the top of the backpack to be topped off with another section of lighter objects, like a sandwich. Light, heavy, light. This is gonna help a lot with your center of gravity, and it's gonna make your backpacking experience a whole lot better. So let's implement the sandwich principle right now. Here is my warm weather gear and my hammock that I'm gonna be sleeping. This is low on the priority, and it also happens to be lightweight, so this is perfect. I'm gonna put this on the bottom of my backpack, and that's gonna be that first piece of bread. Now we come to the middle of the backpack, and this is the much bigger section, so we're gonna prioritize all of our heavy items. Here I have my emergency shelter, this big tarp. I have the first aid kit, and also some cooking gear. All these things are pretty bulky, kind of heavy, so I wanna put this near the middle. Now we come to the last piece of the bread, this final top section. And for this, we're gonna wanna put our snacks. This is high on the priority list, and some of these other items. Now you might be looking at this water going, wait a minute, what about that? Not only is this heavy, but it's also high priority. So do we break the sandwich principle? Does this go on top, or what do we do with this? In this case, you can do different things, but I would encourage a bladder like this, just actually sliding down in between everything up against the back of the backpack. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna be pressed firmly against your back, and that's just gonna help keep the center of gravity in the right place. All right, the last step is to cinch everything down and make sure that your backpack is secure, that there's not bulges or anything hanging off any kind of straps. It's important to do this because when you're on the trail, you don't want your backpack snagging on branches, and you also want it to be streamlined so that in the case that there's weather, foul weather, and there's rain especially, your waterproof case will roll right on with no issues. If you've done all these things, you're well on your way to have a great backpacking experience. Thanks for watching Trail Hacks. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about Trail Life USA and how to join a local troop in your area, head over to traillifeusa.com. If you're interested in learning more about my brothers and I and some of our adventures, visit our website at wildbrothersproductions.com.
Hey guys, Hudson Wild here. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about knife safety and how to use your knife properly. You're watching Trail Hacks. When I was just a little guy and my dad gave me my first knife, the most important rule that he taught me was that your blade, your knife, whatever you're using, it's not a toy, but it's a tool. You have to know how to use it properly. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter what kind of blade that you're using. If you know a few important rules, you can implement it with any kind of blade that you're using. There's two basic kinds of knives. We have your folding blades and we have your straight blades. A folding blade, the blade folds into itself, into the handle. And man, it's pretty useful because it can collapse. It's more compact, you can fit into small places. But the complexity with this is that it does fold. To open it, for this one, it's easy. There's a spring attached, it flips right open by itself. For other knives though, you have to grab it, pull it open. Your fingers are away from the blade at all times. There's no way that you can cut yourself. Closing it is a little bit more complicated. You have to put your thumb in front of the blade for a short time to flip this little lever sideways. Once you've kind of broken the blade, it's starting to close, you remove your hand, it's holding the handle down here. There's no way that your fingers could get cut because they're all underneath the blade. And you close it, boom, done. Next, we're gonna talk about the straight blade. And as the name implies, it's a straight blade. So the blade does not fold into the handle, it just stays permanently straight. So with a straight blade, it always has a sheath. You don't want to be walking around without this knife sheath. Always make sure that's sheathed until the time of use. Now, with the sheath, you want it to be somewhere visible. A lot of guys think it's cool to keep their knife tucked back here, but then what happens is they can pull out their knife easily enough, but then when they return to put their knife back into the sheath, man, they can't see it, they don't have a visual, so they might actually poke themselves in their back and their bum. That's not very wise. Have your sheath somewhere visible, usually in front of you, where you can unsheath it very easily. When you return it, you can see, have a good visual, sheath it, very safe, you're not gonna get hurt at all. The next point about knife safety is your surroundings. You need to be aware. So as you can see around me, I got nobody except a tree behind me. But oftentimes, man, you're surrounded by your friends, your buddies. Last thing you wanna do is be sharpening a stick, cutting an object, you slip, your knife goes back this way, boom, you just hit your friend. Very dangerous. So always be aware of your radius. And a good way to do that is just to take your hand, swing it around you. Oh, I got no one. I got a tree behind me. I got no people though, so I'm safe. This is a good safety radius for whittling, for carving, for preparing food, whatever I'm doing, I'm using my knife for, I know that I'm safe. Next thing you wanna do, again, this is very simple, but a lot of people don't utilize this rule. Always cut away from yourself. hold the grip firmly. You don't want to be like holding it like this because then, man, it's loose. Again, you don't have control of the blade. Hold your knife tightly, firmly, cut away from yourself. Then you'll always be safe. The next rule is to keep your blade sharp. A dull knife is a lot more dangerous than a sharp one, so take care of your knife. Once you use it a lot, it gets dull, sharpen it. There's actually a lot of different ways to sharpen a knife with a whetstone. I'm going to show you the way that I prefer. I don't like any technique that involves slicing into the stone. You have to have your angle really precise because tilted too much down, your knife is going to be cutting into the stone and you'll chip your blade. Or if there's inconsistencies with the stone, a little lump, a little bump in the stone might chip your blade as well. I prefer flipping the blade backwards as such, pulling away from the stone. That way the stone is just sharpening your blade. You're not cutting into the stone itself. I like to hold the stone at the very edge here so that my fingers aren't anywhere near the blade, but still have control over the sharpening stone. But the biggest tip is to find the right angle, degree of angle, in which the blade rests against the stone. The way I do that is to put the back of the blade, if it's resting in the center of my forefinger and against the stone, I know I have the correct degree angle. For this knife, since the blade is slightly curved, I start with pointing kind of the blade in the middle of the stone here, and then kind of make a half moon circle here. That way the whole blade is sharpened. I don't do it too fast, it's just nice, slow and controlled, but consistent. Now I'm gonna switch sides and do the same thing. The only thing is I'm gonna be pulling back now. So the same movement, same technique, except that the stone is gonna be touching the bottom of the knife blade first, ending with the top of the knife blade. One thing always comes to mind as I sharpen my knives. In the book of Proverbs, 27:17, it says that a man sharpens another man like iron sharpens iron. What that means is that men are supposed to encourage each other, build each other up. They're supposed to refine each other, right? It's about community and the proximity. And you and your buddies, when you get together, yeah, you're encouraging each other, building each other up spiritually, refining each other, pointing out the flaws in each other, to build each other up, right? And it's the same way that your sharpening stone sharpens your knife, right? It's two hard objects, but man, combined together, it refines your blade, it sharpens it, it prepares it for good use. And that's what we're supposed to do with each other. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video and learned something new, like and subscribe below. If you're interested in learning more about Trail Life USA and maybe potentially joining a troop, go to traillifeusa.com. If you're interested in learning more about the Wild Brothers and some of our awesome adventures in the jungles over in Southeast Asia and here in the States, go to wildbrothersproductions.com. Thanks guys.
Hey guys, the Wild Brothers here. In this episode of Trail Hacks, we're going to be talking about the very important values of a trailman, including purity, service, stewardship, and integrity. You guys are watching Trail Hacks.
On the trail, and really in life itself, it really doesn't matter how many trail hacks you know. The most important aspect of a trailman is his integrity, his virtue and character. And that trumps any kind of trail hacker, all the trail knowledge combined. It's our prayer at Trail Life that each and every troop walks worthy of the Lord, that his foundation is found in God's word, and his relationship with God is solid. That is the most important aspect of a trailman.
So the first value of a trailman is purity. Purity. God, he calls all of his followers to live lives of holiness, which means that we're pure in what we say, do, and think. And Jesus, he told us in his word that, man, just to look at someone sinfully in sinful lust, well, that's the same thing as actually going and committing that sin with your own hands and bodies. And so, according to God's word, there's a high standard for purity. But the good news is that if we're in Christ, if we've trusted in Jesus' work on the cross to pay for our sins, then God's word tells us that we're not alone in this fight. We have God's Holy Spirit. God has sent his very Spirit to live in our hearts. He changes our desires and the inclinations of our hearts so that we no longer seek after the things that we once sought after, but we're made new. We're new creations. It doesn't mean that we're always going to be perfect. Only Jesus was perfect, but we can win this battle. And so God has given us everything we need. And in a trail life, purity is the first value of a trailman.
Now the second value of the trailman is service. And according to God's word, all of us that are followers of Christ, we have been bought with a price. and we are called to give ourselves up for others, to lay down our lives as a living sacrifice to God. And Jesus, he was the perfect model of service. When he came to serve, not to be served, and to lay down his life as a ransom for many. That's incredible, coming from the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Jesus perfectly modeled service as he ministered to the poor, to the broken, to those who were hurting and wounded. And Christ even demonstrates service and humility by washing the dirty feet of his disciples. This is our example. He is our King and our perfect model for service. And God calls us to be examples of this to our communities and to the entire world.
And then the third value of a trailman is stewardship. Now, it's kind of a big word, but it's really important. We see in the Bible in the very beginning that God gave Adam and Eve stewardship over the earth. He gave them everything they needed to be able to take care of the earth and take care of the animals that are on there. And in the same way, God has given each one of us different gifts, talents, resources, and he wants us to steward those resources well, to use them well for his glory. Not for our own benefit, not for something evil, but for God. God says in his word that to whom much is given, much is required. So we have a responsibility to use all the things that God has given us and to steward them well. And at the end of the day, when our lives are over, we're gonna have to give an account to God of how we used the gifts that he's given us. And hopefully we'll all be able to say that we've used those well, we've used them for God's glory and not for our own benefit. So it's really important as a trailman that we steward what God has given us.
The last, but certainly not the least value of being a trailman is integrity. And being a man of integrity means that we're living a life that's worthy. We're living a life that is honoring the Lord in everything that we do and say. We're representing Christ on earth. And that can be pretty tricky sometimes because, man, the world is a dark place, and Satan, the enemy, he's alive and active, and he's trying to get us as believers to stumble. But we can't pay any attention to that. We have to be on mission for the Lord and be men of integrity in every aspect of life. And that means that we need to be the same people no matter where we are, whether we're at church or on the trail or in the street. We need to be representing Christ in all those situations. And that's a super cool calling. That's a high calling, higher than anything else that this world could ever offer. And what's cool about that is not only do we glorify the Lord in the situations, but we also point other people, the people that are around us, to Christ and show that he is Lord and Savior and worth following and worth living with integrity in our lives for.
Well, thanks for watching Trail Hacks. If you guys enjoyed this episode, remember to like and subscribe. And if you're interested now in joining Trail Life and becoming a member of a local troop, head over to traillifeusa.com to learn more. If you're interested in learning about us, the Wild Brothers, head over to our website at wildbrothersproductions.com. We'll catch you later.
Hey guys, it's Kian here. And today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make what I think is the most important knot ever, the bowline. And there's actually 3 ways to make it. The regular bowline, the one-handed bowline, and the flying bowline. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. Guys, there's a million different types of knots out there. And to tell you the truth, I don't know very many of them at all. But the really important knots that you need and use all the time are those that are easy to make and easy to undo afterwards. And the bowline really fits all those marks. And so I'm excited to teach you guys about it today. And I actually learned how to make this while my family and I lived on our wooden double canoe, the Chendarwasi. And man, I use the bowline all the time because it's so useful and it's really easy to undo. And so I'm gonna teach you guys 3 ways to make it today. The regular bowline, the one-handed bowline, and then the flying bowline. So let's get started. All right, that was the fast way. Now I'm gonna slow down and teach you guys how to do it. So first, you're gonna make a loop in your rope. You see that, how it's on the top right there? That's super important. If you don't do that, the knot's not gonna work. An easy way to remember this knot is actually by telling a story. So this is the story of the rabbit, all right? He comes out of this hole, he goes around his tree, and then he goes back down to his hole. And by remembering the story, there's no way you can forget this knot. So here we go. Here's the rabbit. He goes up from his hole, then he goes around the tree. Then he goes back down to his hole. All right, and then you're gonna grab these 2 parts of the rope, see that? And then tighten it. Boom, that's the bowline. You've done it, good job. And this knot will not come undone. No matter how much you pull on that, man, the rope's gonna snap before that knot comes undone. But look how easy it is to untie it. You just pull out this little rope, boom, you're good to go. Now you guys know how to do the bowline knot, but there's lots of variations on this knot. So next I'm gonna show you how to do the one-handed bowline.
Now, I learned this for emergency situations in case of a man overboard situation. While we're living on our boat, there's always a chance that someone might fall off. So if I fall off the boat and my brothers threw me a rope, what would I do with that? I would need to use a one-handed bowline to secure the rope to myself so I could hang on to it. So imagine that this line is connected to the boat. So what I would do is, I would grab it, pull it around me, and then do the one-handed bowline. Let's break this down step by step. First, with your right hand, you're gonna reach around and pull the rope around you. All right, it should look something like this right here. Next, you're gonna use your right hand and cross it over the rope. Now, pay attention for this part because it's gonna be a little bit complicated. You're gonna go up through this triangular hole right here and come around. And then, if you look closely, we have our old friend again, the rabbit, the hole, and the tree. All right, so we're gonna take it from there. So if you look, the rabbit's already outside the hole. So he's gonna go around the tree again, back through the hole, and then you pull. So now guys, if it was on like a stormy day like today, you found yourself overboard and someone threw you a rope, man, you'd be good to go. You could tie yourself a one-handed bowline, climb back aboard, safe and sound. Now we get to learn the fun one, the flying bowline. This one looks so cool, but it's actually really easy to do. So pay close attention, I'll teach you guys how to make it. So that looks super complicated, but it's actually really easy. First, hold the rope on your open palms like this. Your palms face upwards. The end of the rope needs to be on your right hand. Next, you're gonna take your left hand and you're gonna twist the rope, make a little loop like that. Then, this is kind of the tricky part. With your right hand, you're gonna make a loop go around. Now we're gonna do a slow-mo of this so you can see it, but the loop needs to go around both parts of the rope. Okay, now you have two loops. So the one on your right hand, you're gonna put through the loop on your left hand. And then grabbing this end of the rope and this part, you're gonna pull. There we go, just like that. So those are the steps you need to make the flying bowline. And let me tell you guys, practice makes perfect. So practice it, and before you know it, you'll be a master. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe below. And if you're interested about joining Trail Life USA and becoming a member of one of their troops, head over to traillifeusa.com. And if you want to see more adventures of myself and my brothers, head over to wildbrothersproductions.com. Thanks guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna be using a trucker's hitch today to attach our line to tree B. Asher has it secured to tree A, this is tree B, and we wanna get it nice and snug. So here's a great way to do that. First, we're gonna take our line here and make a little loop like this. Then we're gonna pull this part of the rope through, like so. Now we have a little loop here, and we're gonna take the rest of the rope, we're gonna wrap it around the tree like this, over there, and we're gonna bring this part of the rope through. Do this, just cinch it until you get a nice, tight line like that. You can tie rope across that if you want. You're gonna pinch this part with your forefinger and thumb next, and we're just gonna loop this rope through like this to create one more little loop. It's not going anywhere. If you wanna run this around one more time, you can to create a secondary knot, and then any excess rope you can just tie to the tree or just have it free hanging. That's it, that's the trucker's hitch, and this is gonna allow for a nice, secure top line. Now we can drape our tarp over it.
Hey everyone, I'm Hudson Wild, and today we're out here in a snowy wilderness. I'm gonna be teaching you guys a little bit about layering up in the cold. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. I've been up here in the snowy wilderness for a little over 2 weeks now, learning a lot about the cold weather, the snow, hiking around, seeing some amazing mountain views, and I've learned quite a bit about how to work in the snow, in the cold environment. So I can't wait to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of layering up. Layering up and having the correct cold weather gear can really mean the difference between life and death. It's so easy to get hypothermia, so staying warm is vital to hiking out in the snow. So I'm gonna walk you guys through a little bit of what I'm wearing right now. Let's start with my boots and then go up. These boots are insulated boots. They're waterproof and they go out halfway up my leg. They've been keeping my feet warm, keeping the snow from getting down into my socks. They've been great. So it's really important to have good snow boots for plugging around in the snow. And then second, underneath my boots, I have wool socks. It's so important to keep your toes and your feet warm when you're out in the snow. So I have my socks on, then underneath my snow pants, I have long johns, or like long underwear, and they're thermal, so they keep my legs nice and warm. Over my thermal underwear, my long johns, I have these snow pants. These things are great. They're waterproof, so I can sit in the snow right now. I don't even feel it. I'm staying nice and dry. The snow, once it melts, the water can't get inside. So let's check out what I'm wearing on top. Lots of layers here, lots to unzip. All right, so this is my base layer. It's a nice wool base layer. Man, it keeps me warm, but it's also very breathable. Over that, it's super important to have your secondary layer. And this can be, it can be a fleece, or what I have right now is a down layer. So your second layer is super important to have on. It just keeps the base layer nice and warm, keeps you nice and dry. And then your final layer is called the shell. And this is a giant ski jacket. And so it prevents the wind from getting through. It keeps me super toasty. So I have all these layers on, and then I also have my gloves, which keep my hands warm. These are vital. Man, if your toes or hands get cold, man, it's really hard to warm up. So I have my gloves and then my beanie. And 20% of the heat comes out through your head. So having a beanie on keeps me nice and toasty. It's actually essential because my ears get cold really easily. So there you have it. I have all these layers on, and it's for the purpose of keeping me nice and warm. So as I'm walking, I've actually just heated up quite a bit. My base layers keep me warm. My other two layers are actually just excess. I'm heating up, I'm starting to sweat. And the danger of sweating when you're out in the cold is that once you stop, that sweat is moist, it's gonna really cool you down, and all of a sudden you're gonna be freezing. So, trail hack, what you do is when you start to sweat on the trail, all you have to do is unzip a layer. Now I'm ready to keep going. I'm actually cooling down and feeling good. What you don't want to do is cause a sweat. And so sometimes you even have to take off like that, let your shoulders kind of be revealed, and oh, it actually feels really good right now. I'm cooling down. If you're really hot and you can't cool down, take your beanie off. Again, 20% of your body heat will come through your head. So as soon as you take your beanie off, all of a sudden, you cool down right away, you're good to go. Again, what you don't want to happen is to start to sweat, because then that sweat is going to make all my layers moist and wet. And so I'm going to be hiking, I'm going to be feeling hot but feeling fine. As soon as I stop to take a break or set up camp, all of a sudden my body isn't creating all that heat, it's not staying warm. And so the sweat causes me to instantly cool down. And all of a sudden I'm too cold, I'm getting hypothermia. Well, you don't want that to happen. So zip down layer by layer until you feel nice and comfortable on the trail, and then keep walking. And as soon as you stop, I've had my breather right now, I'm actually starting to get a little bit chilly. All you have to do is cover back up again. Zip up one layer, zip up the second layer if you're cold, you stay warm. And so it's a constant battle to just regulate your body temperature. If you're getting hot, zip down, pull off a layer. If you're starting to get cold, zip that layer right back up. Stay warm, but don't overheat. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit, like or subscribe below. And if you're interested in Trail Life USA and how to become a member or part of a troop, go to traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in the Wild Brothers, myself and my brothers, and more of our adventures, go to wildbrothersproductions.com.
Today, Asher and I are on our cross-country skis going on an adventure, and we're going to be talking about how to stay hydrated out in the cold, because we're surrounded by water if you just know how to use it. You guys are watching Trail Hacks. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Asher and I are on an adventure, cross-country skiing. We're heading that way into the mountains. So much fun, but I'm still getting the hang of it. When you're out in the snow, it's really easy to get dehydrated because it's so cold out and your body's cold and you don't feel thirsty. But man, your body still uses up all that liquid, and so it's really easy to get dehydrated. But actually, man, we're surrounded by water if we just know how to use it. So today, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to use snow as a water source so you can keep yourself hydrated on adventures out in the cold. So here we have some amazing water that has been frozen into snow. But you don't wanna just eat it like this. It's fine if you're just around the house having fun, eating snow, but this is actually going to cool off your body temperature on the inside, and it's going to make your body work really hard to try to warm you up again. And so when you're out on an adventure, that's the last thing you want to do because hypothermia can set in. So you want to try to melt the snow. And an easy way to do that is just to fill your water bottle full of snow and stick it somewhere close to your body. This isn't fresh snow, and so there's a kind of layer of debris on the top of it. It's kind of dirty. I don't want to drink that. So I'm going to dig down until I find some clean white snow, and that's what I'm going to use to put my water bottle. I grew up in Southeast Asia, right on the equator, where there is 0 snow. And so I've just been amazed up here in this winter wonderland to see how beautiful and white and pure it is. And it's amazing because the scriptures talks about snow and uses it as an image to talk about something that's just pure and white and untouched and sinless. But as people, man, we know that we're the opposite of that. We're sinful and we do wrong things, and in God's sight, man, we're soiled. But the great hope of the gospel is that Christ has made a way for us to become clean again. And through his sacrifice on the cross, it's like he took the punishment we deserve and he paid the debt that we have against God. And so for those who believe in Christ and trust in him, he makes them white as snow again. And it's like he washes them from all their sins and all the wrong things that they've done until they're just like this beautiful snow again. And so it's a cool reminder whenever we see snow to think about what Christ has done for people to be made clean again. All right, that's about enough snow. My water bottle's filled up. Now I'm gonna stick this next to my body, and hopefully in about a half hour of hard work, if my body's heating up, it'll turn the snow into nice, cool water. There we go. Whew. Guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe below. And if you're interested in joining a Trail Life troop, head over to traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in seeing more adventures of my brothers and I, go over to wildbrothersproductions.com.
Today we're out in the woods and it's a beautiful day, but we need to get out of here. We need to escape the forest. And so today we're gonna use only what God has given us in his creation to navigate our way out of the woods. It should be a lot of fun. This is Trail Hacks. All right guys, here's what I'm thinking. We need to do a couple different things. One is find a reliable water source. Asher, if you and Kian can work together to find that, that'd be great. Meanwhile, Hudson, you and I can work on trying to find our sense of direction out here.
All right, Kian, you and Asher, let's just use the buddy system. Don't separate, stay together.
Sounds good, Hudson. Yeah, Kian and I will stay within calling distance, and we'll be back with as much water as we can here soon.
Good.
All right.
All right.
We need to find north, find our sense of direction, understand where we're at, and how to make forward progress. Now, in order to do that, we need the sun and some shadows. And with those two simple elements, we can find our sense of direction. We can find true north.
In order for this to work, we actually need a sunny spot, and we need the sunny spot to last for 10 to 15 minutes in order to accurately read the shadows. So right now, the sunlight's filtering through the trees, but it's kind of sporadic. Every time a cloud hits, it disappears, and so we're just looking for a nice little sunny spot.
Okay, it clears out a little bit right here. I have a nice shadow here. The tree's kind of cleared out. We're getting some beautiful sunshine. The first thing is to plant our stick firmly and then to mark the very tip of the shadow. Wherever the shadow of the stick lies, that's where we need to mark it, and then we'll wait about 10 to 15 minutes and see how far that shadow moves. And then we'll be marking the second point. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And so as the sun is making its arch over the sky, well, it'll hit this stick and it'll give us a shadow, and that's a point of reference. Then as we find our second shadow, it gives us a second point of reference. So Morgan, go ahead and mark the end of this shadow here.
Looks about right. So we just want to line that up, and now it's just a waiting game. We're gonna sit back, we're gonna chill, soak in the sun, get some rays, and the shadow is gonna progressively move. Man, direction is really important, and we're out here kind of lost in the woods trying to find true north. But the truth is, in a greater sense, because of our sin, we are all born spiritually blind, and we don't know the truth. We don't know how to get back to God, how to be in a right relationship with Him. And so we're stuck. It's a big problem, and everybody faces this. But thankfully, God has made Himself known. He's given us His Word. God's Word, the Bible, it's basically like our compass. It shows us how we can be made right to Him again, how we can escape the penalty of our sin and death and be brought back into a right relationship with Him. And so it's the most important thing out there. And honestly, that's one reason why you should never go anywhere without God's word. Never go anywhere without your compass. You don't want to be stuck in this situation in real life, but how much more so without God's word. All right, I think we have our shadow. Looks like a good 6 inches away from the first mark. Hudson, you get a second mark there. Nice. That's a good 6 inches or so. It's pretty good.
Yep. All right, so we have our 2 points of reference. The trail hack is to put your left foot on the first marker, your right foot on the second. Now where I'm facing tall and straight, this is now north. So we have found our sense of direction. North, directly behind me is south. I have east to my right, west to my left. So now we have just created basically a compass rose. We know our direction, which is pretty incredible because all this was based off of just the sun and the shadows. Isn't God's creation amazing?
Okay, now we know true north, so that's one step closer to escaping the forest.
Morgan and I are now going to use these same shadows to figure out what time of day it is. So stay tuned for the next episode.
If you guys enjoy this channel, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about Trail Life USA, then go visit their website at traillifeusa.com. And if you're interested in learning more about us and our adventures, the Wild Brothers, visit our website at wildbrothersproductions.com. See you guys in the next video.